In today's video, I'll be discussing my first state highway on this channel, Washington Free. Washington Free starts in Shelton at US 101 and ends in Port Gamble at Washington 104. Here is Washington Free's grand start at US 101 and it's signed north for Shelton and Bremerton. The best decision actually in my opinion, so good on Washington DOT. In downtown Shelton, Washington Free turns right onto Railroad Avenue. There is no signage for it, but here Washington Free takes a turn left onto North Front Street. Yet again, like 0.5 miles down the road, maybe even 0.2, Washington Free takes another turn right onto East Pine Street. North of Shelton, we have a mileage sign for Allen being 16 miles away, Port Orchard 36 miles away, and our actual control city, Bremerton, 37 miles away. In Bremerton, Washington Free becomes a divided highway and meets Washington 304 signed east for Bremerton because we do not actually go through downtown Bremerton, and we are now signed north for Silverdale and Poulsbo, the best choices in my opinion. When we get to Silverdale, we are now sensibly signed north only for Poulsbo. In Poulsbo, we are now signed north for the Olympic Peninsula, which isn't actually a city, but it is just a region. But it does make sense though, considering how Port Gamble, the only reasonable city left to sign, only has 783 people as of 2020, so I'm letting this slide and I think it's fine. Here is Washington Free's end at Washington 104 signed east for Port Gamble and Kingston. I think Kingston on its own is fine, but if we're wanting to sign two cities, Port Gamble and Kingston is the only way to do so. And Washington 104 signed west for Port Townsend and Port Angeles, but US 101 will take you to Port Angeles and Washington 19 will take you to Port Townsend, even though Washington 104 goes to neither. At Washington Free's northern beginning, we are assigned south for Poulsbo and Bremerton, which I think is the right decision considering how Bremerton is bigger than Poulsbo and Silverdale combined, but I do think Poulsbo should be swapped out for Silverdale because Silverdale is twice as big as Poulsbo. On the mileage sign, we get Poulsbo 9 miles away, Bainbridge Island 20 miles away, which it doesn't even go to, you have to take Washington 305 to get there, and Bremerton 23 miles away, and there is zero mention of Silverdale anywhere on the sign, which is the most stupidest thing ever. Please replace it with Bainbridge Island, please, and thank you. In Silverdale, with an interchange of Washington 303 signed south for East Bremerton, which is a neighborhood. Besides that, the point is, Washington Free is signed south for Bremerton and Shelton, a good choice. Once we reach Bremerton, we are now sensibly signed south only for Shelton. At an interchange of Washington 16 and Gorst, Washington 16 is signed east for Tacoma, which is a great decision, and we are being told to turn right in 3/4 of a mile to stay on Washington Free for Shelton. On the mileage sign, we have Belfair in 8 miles and Shelton in 32 miles, the sensible choices for cities on the mileage signs. In Shelton, when Washington Free turns onto North Front Street, we are now signed south for Olympia, which it doesn't actually go to, but instead US 101 goes there instead. But this is the right choice as there is no cities left to sign on Washington Free. Here is where Washington Free turns right onto Railroad Avenue. And here is where Washington Free turns left onto First Street. I tried finding another mileage sign, but I sadly couldn't. So here is Washington Free's southern terminus at US 101, signed south for Olympia and signed north for Port Angeles. Both are the correct decisions. I think the control cities should be the exact way they are with a few minor exceptions. For Northbound, it should be Shelton/Bremerton, then Silverdale/Poulsbo, then Poulsbo when you get into Silverdale, and then the Olympic Peninsula/Port Angeles. I think the Olympic Peninsula is fine, but adding Port Angeles may be good. And for Southbound, it should be Silverdale/Bremerton, then Bremerton/Shelton, then Shelton on its own, and then Olympia.